Hey guys, it is Ryan. I'm not sure if you know this about me, but I'm a bit of a fun fanatic when I can. I like to work, but I like fun too. It's a thing. And now the truth is out there. I can tell you about my favorite place to have fun. Chumba Casino. They have hundreds of social casino style games to choose from with new games released each week. You can play for free anytime, anywhere. And each day brings a new chance to collect daily bonuses. So join me in the fun. Sign up now at ChumbaCasino.com.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. See terms and conditions. 18+.
Lucky Land Casino, asking people, what's the weirdest place you've gotten lucky?
Lucky? In line at the deli, I guess?
Aha, in my dentist's office. More than once, actually.
Do I have to say?
Yes, you do.
In the car before my kids' PTA meeting.
Really?
Yes.
Excuse me, what's the weirdest place you've gotten lucky?
I never win and tell.
Well, there you have it. You can get lucky anywhere, playing at LuckyLandSlots.com. Play for free right now. Are you feeling lucky? No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18+. Terms and conditions apply. See website for details.
What are you doing here?
I'm doing a double shift. What's it look like?
How long have you worked here?
A couple months.
Yeah? Is the manager here? Do you have a supervisor?
No,
How long have they worked here?
I'm not telling you.
Yeah? Where do you live?
I'm not telling you that either.
Where does your manager live? I used to... What are you doing here?
I work here.
What are you doing here?
I work here.
And how long have you worked here?
Only a couple months.
All right. What's done is done. Just forget about the whole thing.
Hello, this is Dr. Oatman. If you'd like to leave a message, I will get back to you shortly.
Dr. Oatman, please pick up. It's Martin Blank. I'm standing where my living room was, and it's not here because my house is gone, and it's an Ultimart. You can never go home again, Oatman. But I guess you can shop there.
Welcome to Back to the Frame Rate, part of the Western Media Podcast Network, a weekly podcast discussing movie news, reviews, and recommendations. We just heard a clip from 1997's Grosse Pointe Blank, a tie-in to this week's theme, You Can't Go Home Again films, and our main review of Someone I Used to Know. And we'll also be offering up some recommendations. I am Nathan Schur, and with me always are Sam Cole and Ellie Escobar.
It's a pleasure. How are you?
Hola, Nathan and Sam.
Well, it's good to see you again tonight. And is everyone ready for Snownami 2023?
I'm afraid for the snow, but I've got the plow, the snowblower, a car. I'm not too scared. I think it's going to be all right. If it's less than the foot, then I can handle it. If it's more than the foot, I'm going to shoot 9mm bullets at it. Anyway, that's it. Go away, snow.
Is that what snow does to you, Sam?
Yeah, snow transforms me into Arnold Schwarzenegger, guys. I can't help it. Be prepared.
Well, we have another packed show tonight. We're going to be doing our little weekly water cooler, what we've been watching, and our featured review for this episode is the romantic comedy Somebody I Used to Know. Followed by a spoiler discussion of that film. And then we have our recommendation shelf where we have some films that we are recommending from the genre of, I don't really know what to call it. Homecomings, You Can't Go Home Again. It's that figure of speech about where your protagonist leaves and they come back and either they have changed or the people that they have come back to have changed. And it's those awkward homecomings. And I knew we were going to review this movie. I just felt like this is a genre that is quite popular that I figured we could really kind of tap into our library of knowledge and recommend some good movies from this genre. So I'm curious to see what each of us come up with for our audience. So let's get into it. You know what? First, though, I'm going to switch things around a little bit. We had a little folly last week. And during our recommendation section, Sam, the theme was to recommend a non-Marvel, non-DCU film, superhero movie. And I believe you recommended Darkman. Is that correct?
That was correct. And as you pointed out, it turned out to be a Marvel property. Apologies for that. It won't happen again.
And I will admit, I'm not fully free of blame here because I allowed this to happen. And as somebody who was kind of putting together the show, I apologize as well for the oversight. But Sam, a brunt of this must fall on your shoulders. And the amount of letters that came in over the past week was quite appalling. And I don't know if you want me to forward all this mail to you or if you just want to make a blanket statement right now, a formal apology, or do you want to answer all these letters individually? I'm going
to leave that to you to handle damage control. I am overcome with remorse. I'm actually going to just go get a glass of water, but I'll be back.
Well, as Sam has left the podcast momentarily to get some water.
Shame on you. Shame on you.
Yes, I think he just abandoned his post. I expect he'll be returning to fulfill his duties that he's promised all of us with a formal apology to all.
He just didn't get the assignment. That's
fans
all.
of Marvel for this egregious folly. No, it was. He had one job. We all had one job.
Yeah, but I've fallen into that category myself.
We've all been there. We've all been there.
How's that walk?
This how was that? That was the walk of shame. He did come back with water, folks. It wasn't just an act. So, Sam, I take it. I will hold these letters here. And would you like to? Is there anything you want to say, or was that your apology?
Oh man, we're still on this bit. I gotta go. I gotta get more water.
Oh my god!
Maybe that's really all he was going to say.
I think so, Nathan.
Okay.
I think so.
Okay. Then we're going to move on.
If that had been me, I'd still be talking.
Okay.
You don't have to shut me up.
Oh, we're moving on. Good. Excellent.
Okay. Shall we move on, Sam? Are you saying?
That sounds good.
Okay.
What is in that water? That's what I wanted.
This is Poland Springs water, established in 1845. I highly recommend. If you live in the New England area, it's available at all supermarkets.
All right. So let's move on to our what we've been watching, our weekly water cooler. I'll let Sam enjoy his water of shame. Ellie, anything you want to share with us about your past week? Anything you've been doing or watching?
Well, I've been studying my ass off because I have an upcoming performance at the end of March. And I had to tell you guys, English is my second language. Spanish is my first, in case you haven't noticed yet. But to do a play from Tennessee Williams, it's quite an adventure for me. And so sometimes I read out loud and there are words that I have no idea what they're talking about. So I have to look up in the dictionary and then I have to go to Google and see how it is pronounced so I can say it correctly. So I love the whole process that I'm having, learning new words, learning new pronunciation. I've been doing my what do they call those when you prepare when you say Betty bought a bit of butter but Betty,
I know what you mean. It's like what's the word?
What do they call those? What do we call those?
Like a tongue twister?
Tongue twister.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh my goodness. I've been practicing those.
Mm-hmm.
And boy, they are really twisting my tongue.
Are they like a vocal exercise that everybody would do before? Yeah. Yeah, I experienced this when I've only really done one real play, and that was something that I learned that we did before during rehearsals. We were doing them, but yeah, it was a lot of fun. Yeah.
And so I think for anyone who's in the speaking world or industry, I think it's a great way to relax your muscles in your mouth and your jaw.
Yeah.
So whether you're an actor about to go on stage or about to go, action on a camera, in front of a camera on set, or even on this podcast, it's a great way to sort of exercise your mouth and your jaw and relax it,
When I was in all children's theater, like back like 80s, early 90s when I was a kid, our amazing like teacher and the head of act, Ren Gudrum, we would like sit in a room and exactly like you're saying, but we would do individual letters but have to repeat it. So B would be like and W was like and you'd have to like enunciate, project across the room, like do that before every show. Go out and it's amazing how it worked.
Yeah, so there's like enunciation exercises and then there's tongue twisters. They're two very different things. The tongue twisters are different, to a different sort of I don't think tongue twisters are for enunciation, but there are enunciation exercises as well. They're two separate things. So I go around the house and I sound crazy. But I did audition last week. I did audition I actually did an audition that's going to probably, if I do get it, I have to travel to San Francisco for one day.
Oh, that'd be awesome. Yeah,
pays really great money. I can't, but we'll see. And then I have an audition due tomorrow as well. And so what I actually watched this week, I actually watched the Rise of the Planet of the Apes trilogy.
Oh wow, the whole trilogy. That's awesome.
I on Saturday I just I sat down and I watched the Planet of the Apes, the Rise of the Planet of the Apes, Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, and then War.
I have an issue with the naming convention of this trilogy.
Why?
I don't know. Is it Rise, Dawn, and then War? I'm fine with War.
Rise, Dawn.
Rise of the Planet of the Apes, followed by Dawn of the Planet of the Apes. I don't know.
That's true. It's like Rise of the Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, Ascension of the Planet of the Apes.
I mean, the original, I think there's a 6 or 7 movie series between the 60s and 70s.
Yeah.
And they were just as terribly titled too.
The titles get more boring as they go on. The last one, Lateral Move of the Apes, it's when they're like getting into corporate office work and stuff. It's not quite as good, but I like it. It's a good dialogue thriller.
Yeah.
But you know what I realized is that back in the 70s, I have watched with my mom Planet of the Apes, where there's Cornelius is big, and I think oh my God, what's that actor that's very handsome?
From the original Planet of the Apes?
Yeah.
Charlton Heston, are you thinking of?
Is it Charlton Heston?
He was the lead actor of Planet of the Apes, and he was huge back then.
Gorgeous man. I thought when I was little, then, I thought I was like, oh my God, what a handsome man. Yeah, I did like older men when I was a little girl. Weird. But so
I had a thing for horses, but that's just me. Sorry.
I owned a horse. What are you talking about? But listen, you know what was really cool is that the last movie, War, I realized that the little monkey baby, it's Cornelius.
Oh, right. Yeah.
And I was telling my kid, I'm like, wait, that's little Cornelius when he's big? This is so cool. I actually got to see how Cornelius became Cornelius. So I thought I really enjoyed all the 3 movies. It was a fun Saturday. And I also watched this weird movie on Netflix called The Strays.
What is the Strays?
The Strays.
For that, but what is
Strays, like stray cats or something like that. But so have you seen it?
No, I haven't.
It's a really weird movie. I it's English, I think. I mean, because they speak, with the English accent, and my takeaway is that the mom does not want to be a person of color. She wants to be a white person, and she had 2 kids, and they were really, really dark skinned, and she abandoned them because they were too dark. And she remarried and lived in a new community. And she married a white man, and her kids were more of a light skin. And the 2 darker kids come back later on when they're older, and it gets gruesome at the end because the 2 kids want to revenge because she left them, and they end up killing her husband.
Oh my God.
It's just so weird.
It's somewhat dark, dramatic subject matter. It's like
it was, and I'm like, I was like, what did I just watch? And then I started watching the series Red Rose.
Oh, cool.
Where's Red Rose?
I've not seen that.
Where's Red Rose streaming?
Netflix.
It's on Netflix. Okay.
I'm actually really enjoying it. It's really good. It's creepy too. So, but yeah, that's my week.
Fantastic. Cool. All right, Sam. Anything out of the ordinary for you?
Gosh, I mean, I really did not have an eventful week at all. I did do another audition. I mean, that was good on my, video audition. My phone, the audio on my iPhone is dying slightly, and so they needed the audition like quick. But I, was shooting it off my phone, and the audio was not good, so I was literally like shouting my information. Because the microphone was like, "Hi, I'm Sam. I'm 41 years old. I live in Marina Del Rey."
Some good angry loud acting.
They're like, "Wow, we would have cast that guy if he wasn't such a psycho." Next, but but that was fun. And I did. I saw a few movies. I did see You Only Live Twice. Old Sean Connery, James Bond. Really good action. Good to revisit it. Very, very culturally inappropriate. Did not
really
2023 it didn't I mean it doesn't bother me because I just love James Bond movies in general, but he disguises himself as a Japanese husband to live with this woman while he's undercover, and they literally put large eyebrows on over his eyes to disguise him, and that makes him Japanese. And I'm like, no, that's would not fly. And this is a 1967 film, but I am a fan of Sean Connery as Bond. So
you mean when they made Marlon Brando look Mexican,
right,
in one of his films?
Exactly. It's just it makes you wince a little bit, but the movie is really good, and it has one of my favorite Bond set pieces where the villain's Blofeld's lair is inside a volcano, and Austin Powers makes fun of that so brilliantly. But it was good. So that was watched a few movies, did some auditions, continued editing my show. Not a particularly eventful week, I must say.
Where is that? Are all the Bond films now in one home right now?
God, that's a good question. I think they are.
They were all on Netflix at one time, but I know they're an MGM property, so I'm unsure.
I think a lot of them are at Amazon, if I'm not incorrect. I might be wrong about that though. See, I don't know because I have them. I just have the box set on Blu-ray.
Oh, that's the way to go. You got them. Then you don't have to worry about it.
Then I'll always have it, and it just if it's great to have that because if I'm ever in the mood to watch a Bond film, I love just going to the box and being like, well, there's so many of them, which one, what am I in the mood for tonight? Dramatic and intense or Roger Moore and silly,
I wish I had that box set. That's great. Okay. Very good. Okay. So I will go over a little bit what I did. So first of all, I'll say that I got away this past weekend, which I think was what I really needed. I took the family first of all, I went to Disney on Ice this past Thursday, which we saw they're featuring Frozen and Encanto. Those two were the two stories that they were featuring. And it's really funny when you watch these. I mean, these are, world-class ice skaters. But, I'm watching this and they truncate these stories down they distilled down to like almost none of the story. And the skating is amazing, of course, but they only do about a third of the songs, and they gloss over, like in Frozen. I don't know. Have you guys seen Frozen?
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, anyways, so like
I'm the one person that likes the song in the second film better than the main song in the first. And
there's some. Hey, you know what? I got two girls. I got an 11-year-old and a 5-year-old. Frozen is. I can't. It's a major part of my life. Whether I love it or hate it, it's not going anywhere. And they've already announced the third Frozen movie is coming out.
Yes, just recently too.
Yeah. But my 11-year-old is kind of over it, which is sometimes sad for me because like she was at the age when the first Frozen came out, and my younger daughter is at an age with the second movie coming out. It's like her thing. So I wonder when the third one comes out, will either of them be interested in it? Because it's probably a good 4 years away still. But anyways, whole point is, they just completely gloss over the entire end of the movie in this skating version of it. Not that I really care that much, but what if you didn't know the story of Frozen? I mean, it's just like, it's not a way of learning about the story of these movies. So I just I just had to chuckle. It's really just about the skating.
I picture you like on the sidelines, like watching them like mess up the ending or truncate it with a bottle of like vodka, getting really, really drunk.
I was saying so belligerent. That's
blasphemy.
There were no trolls there, like I don't know. Anyways, like Sven and Kristoff completely got short shrifted in this ice version of it. I think they did a better job with Encanto, actually. So, yeah,
interesting. Huh.
It was good. Well done. The $26 snow cone was pretty insulting. That's the only thing I'll say. And both my girls had to have one as well.
Lucky Land Casino, asking people, what's the weirdest place you've gotten lucky?
Lucky? In line at the deli, I guess?
Aha, in my dentist's office. More than once, actually.
Do I have to say?
Yes, you do.
In the car before my kids' PTA meeting.
Really?
Yes.
Excuse me, what's the weirdest place you've gotten lucky?
I never win and tell.
Well, there you have it. You can get lucky anywhere, playing at LuckyLandSlots.com. Play for free right now. Are you feeling lucky? No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18+. Terms and conditions apply. See website for details.
It is Ryan here, and I have a question for you. What do you do when you win? Like, are you a fist pumper, a woohooer, a hand clapper, a high fiver? I kind of like the high five, but if you want to hone in on those winning moves, check out Chumba Casino. At ChumbaCasino.com, choose from hundreds of social casino-style games for your chance to redeem serious cash prizes. There are new game releases weekly, plus free daily bonuses. So don't wait. Start having the most fun ever at ChumbaCasino.com.
No purchase necessary. VGW. Void where prohibited by law. See terms and conditions. 18+.
$26.
$26 snow cone.
Was it huge?
No. And what was the worst part is that the snow cone container itself was like yay high, pretty good size. But because of COVID restrictions, they couldn't fill the entire cup with the snow cone slush. They filled up these, I'd say maybe like a 7-ounce plastic cup with the snow cone mixture. Then they put that in the take home cup, which only filled it halfway. And they said, well, why can't you just pour the snow cone slush in it because of COVID? I'm like, that makes no sense at all. You'll fill up my beer all the way and charge me $18 for that, but you can't put ice in a container because of COVID? It makes no sense at all. I still don't get it. I'm still like, I went home that night looking over at my wife, like, can you explain to me why they couldn't put ice in the what is it, I can't think of the word for it, but like the souvenir cup. The souvenir cup. Like why they couldn't put flavored ice in the souvenir cup, but I could get any other drink there and they could just pour it right in there. But because of COVID, they couldn't. They had to put a cup in a cup. What? I don't know.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah, that's weird.
Anyway, but nonetheless, it did not taint my experience. The girls had a wonderful time. They have no idea how much this night cost us, and they don't need to. Anyways,
they'll always remember it.
Exactly. They had a good time.
Yeah.
So Disney and Ice last week, they loved it. And then we went to New Hampshire. And at the time I'm thinking like, hey, you know what? If you've been living most parts of the country, maybe not the Northwest, but we have not had much of a winter. So we scheduled a little getaway. We have some family that lives in middle southern New Hampshire near Washington, New Hampshire. And and they live on a lake. So we went up there for a few nights and did some ice skating. My youngest had never gone ice skating before. So it was really, really wonderful seeing her on skates. She loved it. I did some snowshoeing. So I love snowshoeing. It's very therapeutic for me. I found a trail nearby, which was about 15 minutes away. And what I love about it is when there's nobody around, I'm out in the middle of nowhere. There's just pine trees and woods all around me. And there's it's a national forest. There's nobody around. It is just silent. Mm-hmm. And I was out for about an hour, maybe hour and 25 minutes. And it's the most peaceful feeling on the planet for me. And I'm just huffing along in snowshoes. And it was probably about 18 degrees out, but I was dressed pretty warm. And it was such a invigorating experience getting out. And I haven't had a chance to do that all year round. I've had snowshoes for 3 seasons and I haven't had a chance to use it all year. So it was really, really nice. And I found a trail that went around this pond with some really beautiful views. So it's absolutely what I needed.
You didn't run into cocaine bear?
No cocaine. I know, it's funny. I did hear some weird sounds. Like, is that a bobcat? Do I hear a bobcat?
That's awesome that you went out and had a really good in nature weekend. I've been a bit stir crazy at home recently. I got to get back out.
Yes.
Out there, in the world.
I've been feeling that this winter. That I think it's because we haven't had a winter. I haven't had a reason to do I mean, I love going out and going sledding with the kids or building snowmen or having snowball fights. I haven't had that outdoor experience this winter, and I've been just there's nothing fun to do outside when it's just kind of 42 out and dreary
and rainy. Yeah,
and rainy. So that's what I did over the last week or so. I did squeeze in seeing a couple things. In a few weeks, Scream 6 is coming out, so I decided I need to catch up on the Scream franchise, and I probably will find a way of watching the 5 movies that precede Scream 6. I didn't see the one that came out last year. I think it's technically just called Scream, but it's the 5th one. But I'm going to get up to that before Scream 6 comes out. So I rewatched the first 2 in the last week. And, I've seen the first one many times. I remember I seen this in college. I think I took somebody on a date for the first one, and I can't remember I remember nothing about it, but I just remember, I don't think the date ended well, but I just remember hey, let's go see Scream. And I don't remember either the date, or I just know we saw it. Anyways. So, I remember when it was released, it made a huge splash. So horror slashers, I remember at the time were in the gutter, and this reinvigorated the genre. But this I don't think this is really much of a hot take, but maybe it is. But I'm watching this with mature eyes now, and this film, first Scream, does not hold up that well. I don't think.
No way.
At least in my opinion, I don't think it does.
No.
I think I probably watched this as recently as maybe 10 years ago. I'm I still thought it was okay, but I'm watching this now, and the amount of movie references in this are so egregious and blatant to other horror franchises. It's just pandering. It's just pandering. It was eye rolling. It was.
That's true, but also at the time it was a new style.
It was. Well, I'm getting to that.
Yeah.
And but it was a byproduct of its time, but honestly, I think though it's a good script, and It's a fun movie, so I'm not taking anything away from it. And it brought humor back into the slasher genre. Maybe there was never really much humor in this genre before. So it definitely subverted all the expectations of what a slasher movie could be. So it was definitely a fresh new take on this genre. So I'm not saying it's a bad movie, but I'm just watching this. There's a scene where I think it's Skeet Ulrich and Neve Campbell, where they're in her bedroom. And this is the scene where he's really trying to put the moves on her, trying to get her to sleep with him. And they're just like banging out these movie references. Oh, I wish we were in like a Meg Ryan movie. Well, maybe we could make it could be like a porno. And it's like, who wrote this crap? Well, Wes Craven did, but it's within like a 4-minute scene. They must have referenced like 4 movie genres, 8 films. And it's just like, it's in the dialogue. And it's just like, oh, and in hindsight, it's like, this is not good. But at the time, I understand why people ate it up, because movies didn't do that. Horror movies didn't do that. So,
I laughed. I laughed throughout the whole movie. I couldn't be scared in that movie.
It's not scary. It's not that scary. But here's what I will. Sorry, Sam. Go ahead.
Oh, I know. I don't find it scary, but I do like Scream. I can see how it's not like completely resistant to time, but I still remember that kind of sugary rush feeling of that genre being fresh, and stuff like that. What did you think of the? Because I'm in the same boat where I actually want to see 5. I haven't seen it, and I actually looking forward to the 6th one. But I'm going back to I've only seen the first 2 as well recently.
Well, I'm getting to the second one.
The second one. Yeah. I really want to hear what you think about.
I'm gonna say it. So I saw the second one. Scream 2. I've seen far fewer times, and I think this is probably my 3rd time seeing it. I think a lot of people feel this is a lesser film, but I disagree. I think this second installment has a much better script. It's smarter. It's funnier than the first. And I think it's really embracing its meta nature. And it's not just dropping what I feel like is a lot of random references to old school horror films. I really enjoyed this on a rewatch. I also love the setting of this film a lot more than the first. The first was just kind of set like in a house for like the last half of the film. This one here, it's on a college campus, and they are spread out. You could see their budget is a lot bigger in this movie, and bigger budget doesn't necessarily mean better movie, but I think they put the money on the screen for this movie, and I really appreciate this movie a lot more.
I actually think that Scream 2 has some scarier Scream chasing moments. Like there's one. It's been a little while, but because I haven't seen it as recently as you, but I can't remember if it's Neve Campbell or someone else. But there's a scene where someone is in like an audio booth or like
the soundproof booth, and there's like the glass
booth, and you see like the shadow, like the Scream, like the villain go the wrong way and like turn around. I actually find that sequence really suspenseful. And I also find some of the murder scenes scarier, and the second film has a bit more teeth to me in terms of that. I don't know. I know what you're saying. I do like the first one more than you, but Scream 2 is really good. I haven't seen it that much either. I've only seen it like twice, I think.
So that you guys know, I only saw Scream 1, and I didn't care for the rest of it.
I hear that.
I know what you're talking about, Sam. And I'm not trying to spoil anything, but there's I love there's like some really great like kills like in broad daylight in Scream 2 as well.
Yeah.
There's one with involving the Jamie Kennedy character, which is beautifully choreographed in this, where he's on the phone with the bad guy.
Yes.
And he's on the phone and he's taunting him. It is one of the best moments of the entire franchise.
The ghost face like chases feel more elaborate too.
Yeah.
It's like there's more choreography or something in that movie. Yeah.
So I think Scream 2 is kind of underappreciated. Maybe it's Scream 3 that I thought maybe was the lesser of the 3 of them.
I saw Scream 3 in the theater. I think it came out in 2000. It has been like 20 plus years since I've seen it. So this, like, I have to go back and like reaffirm the opinion. But I remember not liking it as much, and it kind of overusing jokes about the cell phone being in the killer's pocket and like cell phones calling other cell phones. Like it was a very like cell phone obsessed movie, and I thought it like relied heavily on that gag too much. But that's a 22-year-old memory, so I got to revisit.
Well, I'm looking forward to being a completist with this franchise. I'm going to try to get to the third, fourth, and fifth film before I think the Scream 6 comes out in about 3 weeks or so.
Yeah, it's coming. I like franchises in general. Like, I sometimes like discovering a mediocre franchise that isn't that great, but I just like the fact that there's multiple movies in it for me to like compare and contrast, because I like doing that. So franchises make my brain happy.
So the last thing I'll mention that I saw, watched well, here's what I'll say. Every once in a while, I get on a director's kick, and I go through their entire filmography. I haven't done this to completion in a while, but last year I decided that I was going to tackle the complete career of Billy Wilder.
Oh, wow.
And he's one of our greatest American directors, and I feel like I haven't seen nearly enough of his films. I've seen a few just sporadically, but I've been going through his career chronologically, and I'm up to 1954's Sabrina, which coincidentally does tie in to this week's theme, and that wasn't on purpose. Sabrina has an all-star cast featuring Humphrey Bogart, Audrey Hepburn, and William Holden. I have to admit, if Audrey Hepburn was a modern actress, I'd have like the biggest crush on her, because I think she is unbelievable in everything she does. She is.
I had a crush on her.
Yeah. So without spoiling anything and getting into too much detail, it's about these two brothers that run this giant company. Bogart is a workaholic, older brother, and William Holden is the playboy younger brother. The daughter, Audrey Hepburn, is the daughter of their chauffeur, and she kind of in the beginning is the mousy girl who is nobody notices, and she's always trying to get the attention of the younger brother played by William Holden, and this is, you've seen this story played out before, where she just like is always trying to get the attention, but he always passes by and is always attracted to some other young socialite. And she does something that kind of gets her in trouble, and her father sends her off to Paris. And she comes back with a makeover. And of course, it's really just a hairdo and some new clothes. But when she comes back, William Holden doesn't recognize her, even though she pretty much looks exactly the same. But all of a sudden, like, she is like the next greatest thing, and falls in love with her immediately. And all of her dreams come true. At least you think that's kind of what the setup is. I won't say anything more than that, but
how would you compare it to the 1996 Harrison Ford Sabrina movie?
You know what? I don't know if I've seen it. I hear that movie's been
not the original, like
that
totally
movie was
backwards.
panned. That's Sidney Pollack directed that, I know, and I heard terrible things about it. But anyways, this is really a great film. With performances by both Bogart and Hepburn definitely are the highlights of this. Bogey worked with a lot of different directors in his time, and sadly, this is his only time he worked with Billy Wilder, which is unfortunate, because I think Billy Wilder is one of the greatest directors we've ever had, and he really got a nuanced performance out of Humphrey Bogart, which, as much as I like him, he sometimes comes off one-dimensional in his roles. But Bogart really is a fleshed out character in this movie. And I think this is one of his best, if not one of his more underrated performances. What else? Audrey Hepburn. I mean, wow. I mean, she is, a lot of people at the time when this movie came out was all about movies like The 7-Year Itch and Marilyn Monroe. And She was what everyone was talking about, like Jane Mansfield. But Audrey Hepburn in this movie, I mean, if you don't fall in love with Audrey Hepburn in this movie, you got to check your pulse because she is amazing. And a lot of people think of Breakfast at Tiffany's as the most iconic role for her, and I won't argue with that. But this movie is probably like 1A and 1B as her best performance. So she's an absolute delight. And like I said, I haven't seen the 1995 remake. I've heard negative things about it, so I don't care what it is. I'd say skip that and watch this.
Yeah, I don't remember it that well. I saw it, but when I was, a little while ago.
Yeah.
The
so
remake, yeah.
That's what I've been watching the last week, and yeah. So we'll let's move on to our featured review of Somebody I Used to Know.
To Sean and Cassidy.
I need to see this through, whatever it is.
You mean like with you and the groom?
I mean, we can just call him Sean.
Hi, you're still here.
If my being here is making you uncomfortable.
No, it wouldn't be very cool of me to kick out one of Sean's oldest friends.
I told you she was cool.
She actually reminds me a lot of me at that age.
Were you like a nudist? I was. I have an idea.
Keep your eyes on the iPad. Bradley Pitt Campbell, do not chase the naked ladies.
Ellie, this has gone way too far.
I know. I don't know what to do anymore.
So we just listened to a bit of the trailer from Somebody I Used to Know. This is a new movie that just hit the streaming platform at Amazon Prime. This is directed by Dave Franco, written by Dave Franco and Alison Brie, who are, I believe they're married, or a couple at least. I don't know. I believe they're married.
Yeah.
Yep. So a brief plot synopsis. This is what is from IMDb. On a trip to her hometown, workaholic Allie reminisces with her ex, Sean, and starts to question everything about the person she's become. Things only get more confusing when she meets Cassidy, who reminds her of the person she used to be. So, let's go over one by one what each of us thought of this film. Sam or Ellie, who would like to go first?
Ellie, what do you think of this film?
Honestly, it's one of those films where I just, a movie either makes me feel like, wow, I learned something, I connect to it, I loved it, I praise it, the acting, the direction, the cinematography. It's gotta do something for me. And honestly, I did not feel anything from this movie. I was looking forward to watching the movie. Just the name alone, I thought like, oh my God, I think it looks great. I want to say there's one line can we say, no, that's for the spoilers. I'll say it for the spoilers, but
we'll get there.
But yeah, no. So I don't have a lot to say about the movie. Comedy-wise, I don't think it was. I think they tried a little bit to put in some comedy in there, but
yeah, I know what you mean. I thought some of the comedy felt a little forced.
Flat.
She's on the airplane, and like the baby is in the seat next to her.
Yeah,
and, like her cat like vomits or something, and it's like a little box, and she spills it all over the guy, and you're supposed to be like, and it's just kind of like
that felt like it was from a whole different film, didn't it? Like that little, and that was that was pre-credits too, I think.
Yeah,
it was early on. I mean, I thought it was like it's fine. Like it's I know what you mean. Like it's decently like acted, but the tone was sort of dramedy, comma. I just didn't really connect to it. So I know what you're meaning, but I don't like. I didn't strongly dislike it either. I just I didn't I don't know. I wasn't. Yeah,
I wasn't into it.
I'm on your page. Yeah,
I don't know if I liked it or didn't like it. I'm just no, I just didn't get into it.
With Lucky Land Slots, you can get lucky just about anywhere.
Dearly beloved, we are gathered here today to... Has anyone seen the bride and groom?
Sorry, we're here. We were getting lucky in the limo and we lost track of time.
No, Lucky Land Casino, with cash prizes that add up quicker than a guest registry.
In that case, I pronounce you lucky.
Play for free at LuckyLandSlots.com. Daily bonuses are waiting. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18+. Terms and conditions apply. See website for details.
Prescription products require completion of an online medication consultation with an independent healthcare provider through the LifeMD platform and are only available if prescribed. Subscription required. Individual results may vary. Additional restrictions apply. Read all warnings before using GLP-1s. Side effects may include a risk of thyroid C-cell tumors. Do not use GLP-1s if you or your family have a history of thyroid cancer.
If you've struggled for years to lose weight and have given up hope, did you know you can now access GLP-1 prescription medications at TryLifeMD.com? We're now offering eligible patients online access to GLP-1s, the breakthrough prescription medication that can help you lose body fat and weight. Listen to what people are saying.
It's fun to put on jeans that you couldn't get into 6 months ago.
Every morning, I look forward to getting on the scale. For anybody who's struggling with their weight, it's a godsend.
And here's the best part. Your insurance may cover 100% of the cost of your medication. So go to TryLifeMD.com to have your eligibility checked right now. Get started today at TryLifeMD.com. That's TryLifeMD.com.
It's a romantic.
I'm always afraid to like review a movie I feel indifferent toward, because like if ever any day like in the future, if I'm in a position to be like hired by anyone that made that, this podcast will surface and they'll be like, he didn't like it. Brr. But
I think it's a really good idea, to be honest, so that
true.
they can make better material. Because the idea is that you want to please your audience, and I think the only way to learn to do better work is to get honest criticism.
That's true. That's a really good point. And I mean, I liked the protagonist. Like, she was fine, but she was also kind of manipulative, and I sort of was like half rooting for her and half like, why are you doing this? I don't know. I didn't quite. The other thing though is I want to point out that like there are some romantic comedies that I really like, but that's not like a genre that I'm like immediately drawn to. So I also feel bad because I can think of some people that would really, really like this movie and be. I mean, there's some unpredictable moments in the drama and like the tenseness of the wedding situation and all that, but I just kind of felt a distance from it.
I don't know. Maybe the writing could have been better. I just felt that it was a bit short of something for me.
Yeah.
Me too. I don't know if that is that Dave's first movie that he's directing or wrote a movie.
Ooh.
Dave Franco.
I don't know if it's his directorial debut. That's a good question.
That is a good question.
Not sure.
Because if it is,
I think it is. He's written content, but I think this is his first.
I mean, if it is his first one, and I can't, it's not bad for a first movie. Like you went,
it's competent.
It is.
Yeah.
That's a good word. Competent. It's like the pace is decent.
It's decent.
It's decent. I just wasn't like enthralled. It was not entirely predictable. Like they played with some of the tropes and stuff. It was like decent. I just felt kind of like I was not connected with it.
I just didn't feel that connection between Allison and her ex-boyfriend. What's his name?
Sean.
Yeah, I wish I felt that there was truly love. I felt it was more like envy.
Yeah. It was that's what I mean. It was like weird undertones beneath it. Like it's kind of like some of the things she did, I was like, oh, that's kind of questionable, but all right.
Do you really love him? Do you really love him?
I'm going to get into that. There was a lot of questionable motivations for both the main characters in this, and this one of the things that bothered me. I'll get into this. So,
can we go into spoilers?
Well, let me give my thoughts on this here for a moment. So, true story. I actually watched this with my wife, and we're watching this film together. It's honestly around the 25-minute mark. We turn and we look at each other, and we ask ourselves this question: is this just a repackaging of my best friend's wedding? And then there's that groan-inducing moment a half hour later into the film where that film is actually name-dropped in this movie.
Oh, yeah. She's like, you're trying to pull on my best friend's wedding.
And I was like, her
friend says that, yeah.
And I was like, you gotta be kidding me. You know, so like, it's like you're that unoriginal where you just name-dropped the movie that you're blatantly ripping off here. I mean, it's not exactly ripping, but I'm not calling it a ripoff, but it was like, if I could spot from 25 minutes in that you're just repackaging this movie, and you actually are repackaging this movie, and you're acknowledging that, then we have a problem. But besides that, I'm going to tell you what I did like about this movie, and some of the things I didn't like about this movie. I thought this movie started off relatively well, setting up the main character and the conflict here. I enjoyed getting to know Alison Brie's character. I thought Allie and her ex-boyfriend Sean had some okay on-screen chemistry in the early on scenes. I loved the setting of Leavenworth, Washington. I love this mountainous area. It reminded me of Solvang, California. We were talking about that last week about when we talked about Sideways. I loved having a movie there. I want to go visit Leavenworth now.
There's also, thanks for reminding me,
the Danish Village.
There was on the 101 freeway south in Oregon. There's a shot in the movie where they use some of like the sea stacks from there, and they're just driving down the coast. And I've been in that area, and that was like a beautiful vista. And so, I did. I'm glad you mentioned that because I forgot about that. But I did like the Oregon and the Washington, like the setting of the movie was cool.
Yes, I want a better movie.
Held my more attention than the actual story. I was look at the beach. I remember that place.
I mean, I want a better movie set in this place, but I did really. They paid some attention to detail of the setting with the setting, and I did appreciate that. So I think the film utilizes these locations wonderfully. When we do get towards the second act, and we are introduced to Sean's family, and there's sort of a misfit clan of folks. I really adored them. Danny Purdy is in this, and I thought he was a standout for me, delivering some nice comic relief, and maybe the only character that I felt I could relate to in this film as a voice of reason. I've always loved his work going back to his role in Community and his current run on Mythic Quest. We've got Haley Joel Osment in a kind of a fun but small role. And I really did like the actress that was playing Sean's mom, Olga Martinez. So it's surrounded by, I think, some good fleshed out characters, but that's where my enjoyment of this film kind of ends. Because then we're starting to get to like how the plot unfolds, and it gets really frustrating for me. Sean, you know what? This is where we should probably get to spoilers, because the way of the machinations of these characters and their motives and how this unfolds is where this all comes off the rails. So, you ready to get into spoilers?
Yeah.
Okay, let's do that now. All right, so we are in our spoiler section for Somebody I Used to Know. And I'm going to say this. The first thing I'm going to say is I used to be a wedding videographer. This is kind of a non sequitur. If I ever showed up to a wedding with a phone, say, I'm going to film your wedding, and here's everything I need.
That was ridiculous.
I was like, really? I have monopods and tripods and sound equipment and headphones, and Allie's just like, I'll film you. I know she's like some reality TV producer, but come on, really? You're going to film a whole wedding on your phone. Those things run out of battery. I don't think they thought about this at all.
Not if you have the iPhone Pro 13 Max.
I don't care. I don't know, but I'm telling you, you don't trust a phone that could easily malfunction to your friend's wedding to film. Yeah. Anyways, that was my major gripe with this movie. And she's terrible. She's terrible. She takes a phone call.
She did.
She did.
Like right next. But at least they were rehearsing. It wasn't.
I know. My God! During the middle of the ceremony, she probably would have taken another call. She would. She's terrible. I hate these people. I think Allie and Sean are horrible people. I don't like them. Sean, I don't know what Sean wanted out of this whole thing. He's getting married. He obviously is having some second thoughts.
Who did Sean end up with again? I can't remember.
Well, he ends up with Cassidy.
Right.
But
that's right. Yeah, because she talked me out of it.
Yeah, but clearly Sean is playing some sort of mind game with Allie. He's unsure that he wants to marry her, and he's toying with Allie and this whole thing. He's playing with fire. We have Allie, who is set up to have this talent for inducing emotional responses from people. And this is what her talent is as a reality TV producer, manipulating them for her reality TV shows. And it actually was a pretty good opening scene where she's working on Desert Island or that show. And there's a nice moment in that. But part of her emotional arc is supposed to be that she has, throughout the film, she continues to manipulate people and the events around her. She's using the same techniques on people, on Sean, and it's almost destroying Sean and Cassie's relationship. So yes, as a result, she's tampering with Sean and Cassidy. I just don't like this plot device. It's just driving me really crazy.
Yeah, you mean when she called the Cassidy's parents, right?
She calls Cassidy's parents and seems to have forgotten that she invited them to the wedding. Then when they show up, it's this awkward.
That was an awkward, edgy scene, and the only reason I liked it is because it was more intense than some of the other scenes. I was like, "Oh, this is uncomfortable."
Yes, and then the interactions don't come from a place that felt authentic during that scene as well. That's what I didn't like about it. I mean, it definitely stirred the pot, a little bit for this movie, but at the same time, it's like they show up and there's obviously some history or some baggage between Cassidy and her parents that we don't really fully know about or learn about, but it's never explored to its potential, and that frustrated me. And there's a lot of these half-baked plans everywhere. Like, why did Sean even entertain rekindling things with Allie in the first place? He wasn't sure about, if he wasn't sure about things with Allie, why didn't he just have an open and honest conversation with Cassidy? I know guys don't do that necessarily, but this is another one of those things where we didn't have to have a movie. We could have just had a conversation, and people could have acted like people should act. This is what frustrated me for this. I felt bad for Allie's mom.
I did too. I felt really bad for Allie's mom.
I know she's got a hyperactive
10 minutes with her. Yeah.
She's got hyperactive libido, but besides that, you're going to have Julie Haggerty in your movie. My God, she's a comic genius. Like, do something with Julie Haggerty. And she is sidelined in this film, and she's supposed to be kind of a wackadoo, but she's just blown off by Allie this whole movie. And I keep looking over her. I just like, please just spend some time with your mom. And
yeah, that's what I felt too. But I was like, that's what I mean. Like Allie, I was like, God, this character is kind of like, I just didn't I
hated her.
People felt, yeah, I didn't like her that much either. Yeah.
I hated Allie. I didn't like Sean for the things he was doing. I didn't like Allie for what she was doing to her mom. I just did not like these characters. I felt bad for only person I liked and I could relate to was the Danny Purdy character, because he was the only one that could see the insanity of the family and what was going on. And I just wanted to hang out with him.
I hear that. Yeah.
Honestly, I just couldn't find myself finding the romance in the film. So it's like almost chaotic. It was, to me, it was like almost all over the place. Like there was no, there was something was missing.
Something was missing for me, and to be brutally honest, I split it into 2 viewings and was so proud of myself that when I hit pause on the first viewing, it was more than halfway through. And so I knew that the second viewing was going to be shorter than the first one. And I was like, yes, this is going to end like sooner tomorrow. That's great.
Does anybody think that Allie and Cassidy slept together toward the end of the movie when she went to her room?
It seemed a little like there was the shot when she was waking up. I was like, so what happened here?
Yeah.
Yeah. There was that sort of like, and it's funny because the movie's called Somebody I Used to Know, right?
Yeah.
And so towards the end of the line is basically talking about, I thought for some reason the title of the movie referenced somebody I used to know, meaning her ex-boyfriend.
Mm-hmm.
But it really is somebody I used to know, meaning herself. Right?
That's one interpretation, and I agree with you. But honestly, the other interpretation is that the somebody she used to know is the Cassidy character, who is, as the movie description says, is somebody that she used to be like.
Right.
But I don't think.
I wonder if she feels like she could have had both worlds. She could have done her documentaries. Or reality TV, and at the same time be married to Sean.
But she does end up, the show gets picked up again, doesn't she? She goes back to California, right?
Well, the show gets picked up, but she gives it to her assistant.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah. And because her assistant first takes it over in that phone call. Yeah.
Because I think she found herself at some point or another.
There is a kind of a funny line, because I know I worked extensively in reality TV, and I did laugh at the line when Allie describes a career about making reality TV. It's basically documentary filmmaking, but people actually watch it.
Yeah. I like that line, and I like worked a lot in like the lower dredges of like reality TV for a while. Yeah. So to me, that opening scene, though it was funny, it was kind of triggering and depressing, because I was like, oh God, I remember those sets. Like, I don't like that world. I just remember one reality show that I worked on. There was this beautiful location, and it wasn't bad, but all the crew and equipment and all this stuff around this gorgeous place. And I was like, man, why couldn't they be using all of this to shoot a feature like a Bond film? But we have to waste it on this like superficial reality show. And I was like, that's just my opinion, I guess.
I don't like reality shows.
I really, really don't. Like, and so many people are so into them. I just can't. Just doesn't work for me.
Was it just me, or was there an obscene amount of pretzel eating in the beginning of this film?
Yeah.
It seemed like it, yeah.
I really did.
I felt like the movie was trying to do things at the beginning to make like Allie like endearing to us. Like, hey, this is a quirky, likable, complicated character. And I just found myself becoming like irritated with her personality a little bit. Like, not like I fully dislike her, just more sort of like it wasn't working on me.
I keep going back to the obvious reference to My Best Friend's Wedding, and Julia Roberts, the main character, was the villain of that film. And I think this movie was trying to not go into too much of that territory, trying to keep Allie a somewhat likable character. Problem is, I didn't like her still, and Sean
but Julia Roberts movie, I actually cried. I felt her pain.
Yeah, but she was nasty with the things she was doing. Yeah, yes, her play. I mean,
it's based on love.
Okay. We're going to agree to disagree. I mean,
love can make you do the craziest things sometimes.
It is true. But anyway, I think we're I don't know if we should really go much more on about this. I think we're all in agreement. This movie is kind of problematic. I think we all agree on that.
There was no... I think that's what did it. I just didn't feel any chemistry between...
I didn't either. I had big issues with... As much as I didn't like Allie, I felt Sean was... He frustrated me. As much as I didn't like Allie, Sean frustrated me. I just wanted him to make a decision, have a grown-up conversation with your fiance. And I realize you can't do that in this kind of movie, but I just wanted to slap him silly.
Yeah, he moped around a lot and was like not communicative and like just staring at her all the time.
Explain to me why is it that he didn't want her parents at the wedding?
Cassidy's parents?
Yeah.
Well, apparently Cassidy has some history. Well, Cassidy went off and joined a punk band. She was a wild child, and was a lesbian. Parents didn't approve of her lifestyle, and that's really all we know or understand. There's not much more that's fleshed out about her relationship.
It's not fleshed out at all, and the parents also do, like, the scene certainly doesn't help make us sympathetic at all to the parents. They're kind of jerks.
Yeah.
The parents showed up in the end.
Total.
It's like they make this little cameo appearance. It's like,
they're like, this wedding is stupid. We're out of here.
Exactly.
It's like, well, that served no purpose.
Like one minor little like tiff between Sean and Cassidy, like, oh, this marriage is doomed, or something like that. Like, great, like, oh, like I just hated that moment. I know the purpose it was trying to serve, but like, man, it
fell short of what their vision was. It's not very clear what Franco's vision was to me, or mission with the movie, really.
I hear that. I definitely hear that.
Maybe to do a close sort of parallel to my best friend's wedding, but
at least was not entirely predictable. Lastly, I'll say that, like, I was not 100% like, oh, I know what's going to happen every second. That helped a little bit for me.
I did not expect the naked ladies running by the golf course. I didn't expect that. I thought it was funny, actually.
That was funny. That was very funny.
There was a creative moment of bonding between Cassidy and Allie, for sure. Yeah. Well, anyway, I think we can move. Ultimately, I feel like this movie was kind of derivative of many other better films. The career girl returns home, meets ex-boyfriend, shenanigans ensue. But we've been there, seen that. I think Alison Brie is a good comedic actress. Her track record shows that, on shows like Community and Glow, are proof positive that she can handle this type of comedy. But I think that she deserves better than this, I feel like, B-grade material.
I think you need to create a third podcast in which we only discuss romantic comedies that we don't really want to watch.
God help us.
A whole podcast should be that, yeah.
All right, let's get to our recommendation shelf. This is where each of us have a movie recommendation based on our theme this week, and that is, of course, of you cannot go home again, homecomings, returning home. We're using the theme loosely, as I mentioned at the top of the show. Yeah, who would like to go first?
This is where projects come to life. Our showrooms are designed to inspire with the latest products from top brands, curated in an inviting, hands-on environment, and a team of industry experts to support your project. We'll be there to make sure everything goes as planned, from product selection to delivery coordination. At Ferguson Bath, Kitchen, and Lighting Gallery, your project is our priority.
Schedule your showroom consultation and see more from brands like Monogram at build.com/Ferguson.
Sam would.
Sam, are you ready, Sam?
I'm ready. I'm ready to go. Yeah.
Sam, what do you got for us this week?
Well, it's a weird choice, and it sort of qualifies, but I've actually chosen the third Lord of the Rings film, Return of the King, because in the last 20 minutes of that film, they go back to Hobbiton.
All they do is return home.
And they go home, and they because they've matured and they've moved on, they cannot relate to the local hobbits there. The Proudfoots and the whoever's, because they've moved on with their lives, had a lot of adventure. So
that's a really good pick, because there's the amazing scene at the end of that film where they're just sitting around drinking beer, just kind of in that awkward bar scene. They're like, well, now what?
I love that scene because they haven't seen anyone in the Shire for months, a long time. They come back, and all they do at the bar is sit quietly at a table amongst themselves, as opposed to interact with anyone else, because they feel disconnected. So that's a good scene. I hear that. Yeah.
I'm a fan of the Lord of the Rings, so yeah.
I love the Lord of the Rings, and I think I had no idea, but did you hear that Warner Brothers announced that they're making more Lord of the Rings movies? And I find that interesting, but a little bit worrisome, because I hope that they would take from the Silmarillion or other books, but I hope they don't just make up stories out of thin air or try to connect it to the Lord of the Rings directly, because the Lord of the Rings is over. The trilogy is completed. I don't want to.
Don't touch it.
But I heard them say that they're not going to mess with that. But so when they're saying they're making more Lord of the Rings films, just as a stickler, I wish that the article that I had read had said they're making more Middle Earth films, because that would be more appropriate. It just worries me. Maybe they're just using the brand name, but I will be interested to see what happens with that, because I was not expecting any more movies at all. I mean, I thought with The Hobbit and the Lord of the Rings trilogy, it was done, aside from the Silmarillion, but that's such a huge history of Middle Earth. That's you can't make one film out of that book. The book is hundreds of characters.
Sam, did you catch the series on Amazon, the Rings of Power?
I did, yeah, and I'm one of the people that genuinely liked it. I mean, there were some diehard Tolkien fans that I can understand. The show sort of did some manipulative things with with changing some of the events and stuff like that. But as a whole, I thought the show was an unbelievably good, auspicious start. I thought the tone was amazing. I enjoyed it. I thought it was a bit of a slow burn at first, but the last couple of episodes were spectacular. And in terms of a television show, I think it was the most expensive television show ever made. I have never seen production value to that level in a show. It was unbelievable. There are shots in that rival, if not surpass, Lord of the Rings. I love the Lord of the Rings trilogy infinitely better than the first season of the show. I mean, obviously, but the production design, just unbelievably impressive. So I enjoyed it.
I agree. It was a absolutely gorgeous show to watch. It blew me away every week.
Yeah. And Galadriel, I mean, I liked her and Elrond. Some of the characters were more fleshed out than others, but I was personally engaged. I look forward to season 2, whenever that may be, and
Could
it's
be
going to
years.
be no time soon. Yeah, that's the thing. It's so damn slow, but I understand why, because it's enormous. Yeah.
Very good. Ellie, what do you got for us?
Lion.
Let's start with where you're from.
Calcutta.
Which part?
I'm adopted. I'm not really Indian. I'm starting to remember.
So, a beautiful boy.
We're very proud of yourself. A life I'd forgotten.
You okay?
I had another family. A mother. A brother. I can still see their faces.
What happened?
इधर जा मत मैं कल का काम निपट के आ जाऊंगा गुड्डू गुड्डू
I have have to find my way back home.
I've got to see that. I have the Blu-ray of that movie, and I haven't
Do
watched
you?
it.
That's my coming home or going home movie recommendation. If you have not yet seen this film, and I believe, what is this, 2013 or 2016?
2016, directed by Garth Davis with Dev Patel, I believe.
Yeah, Dave Patel. What a great performance. And Nicole Kidman is in the film as well.
Cool.
Yeah.
I really got to see this.
I haven't had a chance to watch this yet.
It's Australian, and it's Garth Davis' directorial debut film, and it's won a lot of awards. What I loved about the film just dropped on my lap by chance, and I thought, let me take a look at it. It has so much heart. I love the little boy at the beginning of the story. His name is Sunny Pawar. What a cute little boy. And basically the story, it's about the story begins with the two boys. The little boy who's Dev Patel is a little, Sunny Pawar is the little boy, and his older brother. They go around the train tracks. They steal coal, and then they trade it to get milk and bread and bring it back home. And so they walk around the train tracks, and one night when they went to go get some coal, the bigger brother says to the little boy, "Stay here, wait for me." And the train starts moving and basically takes the little 5-year-old boy away. And he gets lost in India, and he can't find his way back home. And then so towards the middle of the film, 20 years later, you see him grown up, which is Dev Patel, and he's now in Australia. He was adopted by Nicole Kidman, and Nicole Kidman's husband, I forget who plays her husband, and they adopted him. And it wasn't until he goes to a party where there's other fellow Indians in that party when he starts to realize and remember that, wait, I come from a certain village in India. And so the whole film after that is him trying to find his way back home, trying to find his mother. And his girlfriend at the time helps him find his village through Google GPS. And he goes into this adventure to find his mom. And turns out that the mom never moved out of the village because she never lost hope that her son was coming back. And it's I cried, I laughed, I was touched, and it was like, the boy comes home, she finally gets to see her son again. And sadly enough, the older brother died one night trying to find a little boy. He got ran over by a train. And so it's a beautiful story. If you have not seen it, see it. It's it's got so much heart, and you're just gonna fall in love with the whole thing. Even the little boy, the 5-year-old, he's so sweet.
I've heard like only good things about it. I got to check that out.
Yeah, you really, if you have not seen it, I say,
yeah,
it's gonna be a snowy day. It's a great time to watch.
I do
get some Kleenex though. You're gonna need some Kleenex.
It is one of my movies on my pile of shame. I do want to see, because that was also nominated for a lot of awards as well. So I don't know what my excuse is.
Absolutely.
All right.
I think a good combination in a movie would be a movie that makes you cry and afraid at the same time. So you're scared and you're crying. So it's like,
then punches you in the face. So you're in pain.
Fear and sadness. The movie. That's a good one.
Yeah, great movie. Well, it's one of my top films that I love in this universe.
I I really want to see it. I've got it. Like it's someone gave it to me recently, so like I got to watch that.
Yeah. Oh, you have it. So then
I have it. Yeah, it's here. It's like a Blu-ray. It's still in the plastic. Like literally.
What are you waiting for?
Yeah, I know.
See, now you have to watch because I told you, like, it's, yeah.
All right. So my recommendation this week is Martha, Marcy, May, Marlene. Have either of you seen or heard this?
No, but what an interesting title.
Okay. So this film stars Elizabeth Olsen, Sarah Paulson, John Hawkes, and Hugh Dancy, and is written and directed by Sean Durkin. Here's a plot synopsis. After several years of living within a cult, Martha, played by Elizabeth Olsen, finally escapes and calls her estranged sister, Sarah Paulson, for help. Martha finds herself at the quiet Connecticut home shared with her sister and her new husband, Ted, played by Hugh Dancy. But the memories of what she experienced in the cult make peace hard to find. As flashbacks continue to torment her, Martha fails to shake a terrible sense of dread, especially in regard to the cult's manipulative leader, played by John Hawkes. I saw this film probably 10 or 11 years ago. This came out in 2011. And I didn't remember all that much about it, but it stuck with me for a long time. And a lot of it is because of the unique title, I think. And I've wanted to revisit it for quite some time. Also, mostly because since this movie came out, Elizabeth Olsen became obviously a big star with the Marvel movies.
Yeah.
But I just remember this movie's, the sense of dread and the editing style of this movie was a big standout. And when we first started talking about the theme of awkward homecomings, this was absolutely the first movie that I thought of. It had been a long time since, like I said, when I originally saw this, and like I said, I was a little underwhelmed at first. So I watched it again this past week. This is one of the things that I saw. I wanted to save this discussion until for now. Similarly to my experience to last week when I was watching Sharper, Martha, Marcy, May, Marlene toys with the audience when it comes to story structure. Information about Martha is revealed in present day and in flashbacks. And the technique that I loved here was how the two are blended together through some really wonderful editing. Elizabeth Olsen is absolutely incredible in this role. It's actually kind of a dual role that she has in this movie. She's the part of this movie. Half this movie is really her living within this cult. And then the other half is her trying to assimilate back into society, back with her sister and her sister's husband.
What is the cult?
What is the cult?
Is it like a, you know how they have cults like for evil?
It's kind of like a commune type of thing where there's this guy, cult leader played by John Hawkes, who is a really big reason to watch this film. He plays his role so subdued and quiet and controlling in this, but he never goes big in this movie. But the power that he exudes in this role is scary, but he never gets violent or angry. But it's really an amazing performance by John Hawkes in this. But it's just John Hawkes as this kind of this cult leader, and he's got it's like a plantation with all these other women that live live on this plantation with him. This movie kind of makes me long for Elizabeth Olsen to break out of her contract with Marvel, to be honest, and get into more films, get back into her roots of doing this type of these projects. What an amazing talent she was, or still is. I don't like her work. I don't dislike her work, I should say, in the MCU, but I'll admit I wish she was just doing more things like this. So this was, I I think, one of her first major role in a film, and it is an amazing performance. Very great role and a great film. It has a very cool, very interesting ending that leaves you kind of wanting more of the story to be told. So that's Martha, Marcy, May, Marlene.
Still acting?
Oh, the Olsen twins. They made all their millions on their, doing those straight to video releases. What were they like? How the West Was Fun and all those, I think they're set up. They don't have to work again.
Oh my God. Yeah, they have to be.
They have an empire. They made an empire, the Olsen twins. Yeah. So so Elizabeth is the younger sister of them.
All right. So she's not the twin.
No.
That's right. You're right. You're right.
I would say check it out. It's right now. It's available on VOD everywhere.
I'm gonna have to check it out.
Yeah,
I like movies like that.
Yeah,
surprise and.
So that is our recommendation shelf for this week. And the last thing I'll just mention before we wrap up the show: upcoming releases. We got Creed 3 coming out this weekend. This is Michael B. Jordan directing the third installment. So that's a new thing. Sylvester Stallone is not in this installment. I think that's probably a good thing. If either of you, I don't think either of you saw Creed 2, but I felt like his involvement in Creed 2 felt very tacked on. So this actually kind of gives me some hope. Plus, we got Jonathan Majors as the villain, his opponent in Creed 3. So I am kind of looking forward to Creed 3.
Didn't I just see Jonathan in another movie?
We may have. He's may have popped up last week.
Maybe.
And also in wide release, this one actually does have me excited. Operation Fortune: Rise de Guerre, directed by Guy Ritchie. Special Agent Orson Fortune, that's awesome, and his team of operatives recruit one of Hollywood's biggest movie stars to help them on an undercover mission when the sale of a deadly new weapons technology threatens to disrupt the world order. Guy Ritchie, he's back. Didn't really go anywhere, but I'm always down for new Guy Ritchie.
I'm excited for 65, even though it's still a couple weeks out.
A few more weeks away. And the last thing I'll just mention that's also in wide release is Hunt Her, Kill Her, from co-directors Greg Swinson and Ryan Thiessen. On an otherwise peaceful evening during her first night on the job, a lone night shift janitor finds herself in an unexpected fight for survival when she becomes the target of a sinister masked intruders. As the disturbing motives become clearer, she must use her crafty instincts and barbaric violence to make it through the night alive. So those are the 3 wide releases coming out this weekend.
I'm thinking of creating a small, short film adaptation from a book that I love and starring me in it.
Excellent.
Cast me in a supporting role.
Okay. Yeah, that's what I want to do because, just so that I can have more on my website.
What do you think? So if cast me as like a mailman or like a delivery person in it and tell me what you think, and here's my audition. Tell me if this is authentic. I've got some letters for you. Was that good? Can I be in the movie?
Yeah, no. I don't want to. No.
just no.
The wrong energy. Am I not right for the part? Oh man, I tried.
I'll find you a part. I'll find you a role. No, lately I've been working out like I'm going to fight zombies just in case,
That's awesome.
Yeah. Gotta be prepared.
Be prepared.
Yes. So thank you to everyone for tuning into this week's show. Back to the Frame Rate is part of the Weston Media Podcast Network. Please subscribe, rate, and review on iTunes or Apple Podcasts. You can follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Back to the Frame Rate and on Twitter at Back Frame Rate. We need a better Twitter handle. You can email us directly at backtotheframerate@gmail.com. That's our show, everyone. Oh, you know what? I don't want to jump the gun too quickly. I just want to say next week, please tune in. We are going to be reviewing what's just recently hit the VOD, Megan, which came out in January, but we're going to watch I think it's considered a horror comedy because I hear it's supposed to be haha funny.
Can't wait to watch it.
We're going to be reviewing Megan, or as I like to call it, Mathregan.
Is that a Marvel film? No.
So yeah, tune in next week, everyone.
Adios.
Bye. Bye.
I want you to know it's over.
Well, bye.
This is where projects come to life. Our showrooms are designed to inspire with the latest products from top brands, curated in an inviting, hands-on environment, and a team of industry experts to support your project. We'll be there to make sure everything goes as planned, from product selection to delivery coordination. At Ferguson Bath, Kitchen, and Lighting Gallery, your project is our priority.
Schedule your showroom consultation and see more from brands like Monogram at build.com/Ferguson.
This is where projects come to life. Our showrooms are designed to inspire with the latest products from top brands, curated in an inviting, hands-on environment, and a team of industry experts to support your project. We'll be there to make sure everything goes as planned, from product selection to delivery coordination. At Ferguson Bath, Kitchen, and Lighting Gallery, your project is our priority.
Schedule your showroom consultation and see more from brands like Monogram at build.com/Ferguson.